During our earlier discussions, we referred to Chandogya Upanishad, where we heard Uddalaka say, "Oh dear child, the big tree cannot come out of nothing. Only you cannot see that subtle something in the seed from which springs forth this mighty tree. That is the power, that is the spirit unseen which pervades everywhere and everything. Have faith. It is that spirit which is the root of all existence. That thou art, Shvetaketu." And he continued, "Now I shall tell you, Shvetaketu, how to go about trying to realize that spirit. Suppose we blindfold a man and lead him to an unknown forest far away from his residence. What did he do? How would he try to find his home? As soon as he is left to himself, he would just wander about, inquiring for the region from which he was taken away. He would go from village to village, and ultimately he would come across someone who would lead him in the right direction. Thus, he would reach home. That's the way to find out the spiritual home from which we all have strayed into the wilderness. The spirit is the one reality towards which we all have to direct our steps. That thou art, O Shvetaketu." Everyone needs a teacher, like the enlightened Uddalaka, a model to look up to and follow so as to reach our spiritual home. There are always enlightened individuals living in every society as liberated souls, if one wants to seek them out. All too often, amid the pace of modern life, human beings are too busy to recognize and honor these pure souls until after they have departed from this earthly stage. Only in their absence is their greatness apparent to many, and quite often, in the absence of their prodigious presence, which had filled with faith and courage the voids of doubt and discouragement for everyone they had touched, are they recognized, admired, and revered. Guru in Sanskrit is defined as the dispeller of ignorance, where gu means ignorance or darkness, and ru means the removal. Thus, the Guru is the indispensable spiritual master to personally experience self-knowledge, one who helps us to discover our essential nature and true identity by teaching the methods to live a true spiritual life, to regain the knowledge and wisdom, and either through unselfish service, absolute or total devotion, or intense meditation, and of course, spiritual study. One may have some understanding, but it requires an experienced teacher to systematically unfold these facts comprehensively, reveal the truth accurately and effectively for that very individual who is truly eager to know. He should be also capable of explaining these facts, and that too in a manner that any average individual can understand and understand them thoroughly. If the teacher is not skilled and not properly trained, the students could be directed in totally different direction and wrong direction. Let me tell you a story to illustrate the point. There were two friends who were traveling for a long time through a desert. One of the friends was blind. Both were exhausted and very, very thirsty. One who had the vision said, "I wish we both could have a glass of cold milk. Our thirst would be quenched and then would not come back too soon." The blind friend asked, "What is milk?" "Oh, it's a kind of white liquid." "I know what liquid is, but what is white?" "Oh, white just like the color of the bird known as swan. I know what a bird is, but what is a swan? Swan is a bird with a crooked neck. Blind man finally said, now I understand exactly what you mean by milk. Friends, this is the perfect example how not to teach and from whom you should not be learning. A good teacher must be well read and have a full understanding of the scripture, Shruti, and hence he is called Shrotriya, and also enlightened through his own personal experience of reality, of Brahman, and thus well grounded, and hence called Brahmanishta. Besides being knowledgeable and scholarly, he must also be trained properly by his teacher, Guru, who himself was trained through the same tradition. A deep personal relationship between the Guru and Shishya is required in order for true unfoldment of the ultimate knowledge to take place. If the teacher is not perfected, this personal relationship can and is sometimes misused. This is exactly the reason that the word guru often creates a negative reaction. Today, the society is unfortunately flooded with individuals who pose as gurus, but in reality, they were never fully enlightened or perfected. Gurudom has become a very lucrative business. It requires no investment and promises great gains to many such charlatans. Sadashiva Samarambhat, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Parampara. I salute to the lineage of teachers, beginning with the Lord Shiva, linked in the middle by say Shankaracharya, and extending down to my own teacher. The undeniable fact, however, is that in reality, one needs a living Guru. Guru must be secure and confident. He must not be pretending to know, but instead knowing that he indeed knows. Such Sadguru must have no other major commitments or desires for material gains other than to teach the students who are truly interested in learning and who have accepted the role to be dedicated and disciplined disciples. Ability to communicate and hold the attention span of the disciples for a long period of time is an absolute must. Some of the essential qualities of a qualified guru are: he has to have a mastery over the scriptural knowledge and also has a personal experience of reality, enlightened. Jnani. Know right from wrong in words, thoughts, and actions. Knows what is transient and permanent. He must have vivek. He must have control over the senses and sense organs, indriya damanam. Guru has peace and tranquility of mind, shanti. Performs good, unselfish social service, satkriya. Constant drive towards good, sattvic, rajasic qualities of life, sadguna dhyas. Alert and able to assess the things as they are and act objectively, daksha. Overflowing with compassion and welfare for everyone at all times, karunya. Constant studies of scriptures to stay up to date, like in medical school, CME, continuing medical education. I call it CSE, continuous spiritual education, abhyas. Strong, powerful, inspiring oratory keeps the listener glued, vaktrutva. Clarity of vision, absolute mastery of the subject matter, clarifies every area of possible confusion, shuddha drishti. Steadfast, steadiness and fortitude, determined, well-grounded, dhridanishchaya. Mindfulness of all types of situations and every kind of temptations, savadhanata. Smarts just about everything, acts objectively, effectively, promptly, chaturya. Sadguru exploits no one. He is already enlightened. He needs absolutely nothing except perhaps a few truly dedicated disciples. It is as much a pleasure and privilege for such a teacher to find the right kind of dedicated disciple who is truly desirous of learning and willing to sacrifice all material temptations in order to gain that knowledge, which once gained, bhuya, nothing else is indeed needed in this world. Sri Ramakrishna, an enlightened individual, was actually waiting and did feel happy and excited when a young and brilliant individual, Narendra, showed up at his feet as his disciple to gain that unique knowledge and wisdom. He had known that Narendra was very keen on seeing God by his own eyes. Ramakrishna exclaimed when Narendra arrived, "Where have you been? I've been waiting for you for such a long time. I see God as clearly as I see you at this very moment." Well, as you all know, Narendra was indeed enlightened through the guidance of his guru, Sri Ramakrishna, known later as Swami Vivekananda. He was the first Hindu monk ever to step his feet on the American soil and was lucky enough for Twin Cities to have visited twice during that visit. Please remember, despite a Sadguru, Acharyat Padabadatte, Padam Shishya Swamedata, Padam Sab Brahmacharibhya, Padam Kala Kramena Cha. Student obtains 1/4 of knowledge from the teacher and a similar amount from his fellow students. That's why I got to go to good college, good students. About the same amount of knowledge is gained through the life experiences, and the final fourth is gained through his or her own thinking through studies, reflection, meditation, and samadhi. However, perhaps the most crucial and foundational knowledge to reach that state of spiritual enlightenment can come only through the enlightened Sadguru and his teachings. When the grace finally descends from the living Guru, the spiritual growth of that disciple takes place at a phenomenal pace. Ultimately, the disciple reaches the state, as Lord Sri Krishna states in the second chapter of Gita 255, Atmanya Atmanatushta, remains satisfied in the self, alone, by the self, while pursuing his daily regular activities. Several types of discussions, dialogues, or vad in Sanskrit, that can take place between any two individuals. But the dialogue between the enlightened teacher and the interested disciple must be samvad, meaning a respectful dialogue. The disciple must accept the other individual in the dialogue as his teacher. If the student does not understand what the teacher is saying, the benefit of the doubt must always be given to the teacher or the guru. Even if the statements made by the teacher appear contradictory, the disciple must seek appropriate time, appropriate place, and the right respectful tone to seek the clarification from the teacher, to clear the confusion in his mind and not question the teacher's statements while continuing throughout his dedicated service to that teacher. For example, Arjuna asked, Vyamishrevena vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadev badanishchitya yena shreyo hamapnoyat. In the third chapter, second verse says, I did not understand your speech. He didn't say, what are you talking about? I did not understand your speech. You don't make any sense. That's not what he was telling the teacher. I did not understand your teaching, Sri Krishna. My mind is confused. Please clarify for me the path I should take that will lead me to the highest good. Lord Sri Krishna states later, Tatvidyat pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. That wisdom can be acquired through humble resignation, respectful queries repeatedly, and by rendering service to the wise who indeed have realized the truth. They in turn will impart that wisdom unto you. For example, when the teacher states the Shrutis say that Brahman cannot be objectified by the mind. However, Brahman has to be recognized and realized by the mind. This statement may appear contradictory or even bizarre to some disciples, but not to the knowledgeable disciples in the group, and of course to that enlightened teacher. When asked for the clarification respectfully, in the right tone and manners. If the teacher feels the disciple is prepared to understand what he had stated with solid foundational knowledge, he would proceed to expound on that important statement, which gradually leads to regaining the wisdom leading to that individual's enlightenment. If he is convinced the disciple still lacks the foundational knowledge, or is not being respectful, or asking questions at an appropriate time, he might defer explaining till that time that students gets better grasp of the foundational knowledge of Vedanta by opening as yet an appropriate topic or scripture for discussion to get those disciples ready to understand the statement and also being in a much more respectful in asking questions. The other forms of dialogue, just for completeness sake, include a healthy dialogue or vad, where two individuals with equal status, mutual respect and open mind discuss the topic in order to learn from one another and grow. The third group is called vitandavad, is where disagreement exists simply because some certain person makes the statement regardless of existing fact. Because he said it, it is, I'm not going to agree. Just look at the Congress. And finally, the fourth type of vad, that communication, discussions, is called jalpavad, where the parties come to discuss with closed minds, with no interest whatsoever, to learn something new and grow up from that discussion. I participated for many, many years in the interfaith dialogues. Some discussions are superb. You learn and you teach. But many of them are the jalpavad. Their mind is closed. You just smile and walk away. For the students of Vedanta, the Guru is an embodiment of their goal. Guru is simply pure consciousness, comforting bliss and eternal wisdom. Anyone who can elicit such continual feeling of reverence, faith and devotion is our Guru. That's how we started with Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Eva Varam Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. If anyone expects the Guru, if anybody expects to transform any individual to Godhood simply by his touch the first time, that individual may have to wait for eternity, trust me. Consecrated temples, like we have here, sanctified murtis the way we've been blessed with, and the enlightened gurus are essential ingredients to be used intelligently to help to regain our self-knowledge, self-realization. However, now this is murtis, temples and gurus are essential ingredients to help regain our self-knowledge. Self-realization, however, must ultimately come from us. In order to light a candle, one needs a candle that is already lit. An illumined soul alone can enlighten another soul. A guru is absolutely essential for every aspirant in the spiritual path. It's only the guru who will be able to find your defects. The nature of egoism is such that you will not be able to find out your own defects. Just as a man cannot see the back, woman can, because she can see what the kids are doing. Just as a man cannot see his back, so also he cannot see his own shortcomings and errors. He must live in the company of the Guru in the spirit of a disciple for the eradication of those shortcomings, misunderstandings and errors. By keeping a healthy diet, meditating, worshipping regularly and reading scriptures, one can certainly make some spiritual progress on one's own. But if one wants to maximize the progress in his lifetime, in this lifetime, and hopefully reach at his ultimate goal of spiritual enlightenment, one needs a living, qualified teacher like an enlightened Uddhalaka. Now, 5 reasons for having a living Guru is: Guru provides encouragement to continue to strive even though through the difficult times, and as an experienced guide, helps one to achieve more than one feels possible. You're gonna trek, you're tired, you're exhausted, you think that you're not going to make it, But the experienced guide will say, no, just follow me, we'll make it. He needs a guru like that. Guru helps us to develop a spiritual self-concept. Whatever self-concept we bring along, a bit of one self-doubt when you come to the guru, or one of a great bite, like Narada talking with Shashikant Kumar. I got done this, I got this. That means you haven't learned a darn thing. So you need to go have a guru who is living and who is enlightened. Guru guides us to move beyond it and truly identify oneself as a divine being. By voicing the ancient truths, Guru provides personal living insights that unquestionably surpass the mere understanding that one can simply acquire by reading books on one's own without any guidance. Guru helps us to improve our behavior through focusing on our weakness areas as well as giving us guidelines as to how we should behave in our daily lives and how we should relate to it. And finally, number 5, to advanced students, he or she provides, if requested, initiation called Diksha in order to release him or her from worldly duties and responsibilities in order to quicken unfoldment and bring divine blessings into one's life. Doesn't have to be sannyasi, that's become Diksha. Sansari can just as much, if not just as effectively. To give the example from various branches of Hinduism, I'll quote Guru Nanak. His lifespan was from 1469 to 1539, said, referring to mystics as gurus, God and his mystics are just one. Take them not as different just because the mystics have a human form. As the waves rise above the water and merge into it again, so do the saints merge into the Lord. Precisely, that's exactly the example cited by several enlightened Vedic sages, many of them authors of Upanishads. Santa Kabir says, it's the mercy of my true Guru that has made me know the unknown, learn from him how to walk without feet, to see without eyes, to hear with the ears, to drink without mouth, and to fly without wings. Without eating, I have tasted the sweetness of nectar, and without water, I have quenched my thirst. Any verse from the Guru's mouth is beyond words, and great is the good fortune of the disciple. Similarly, when we sing Gita Dhyanam, say, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhete girim yat kripa paramam vande paramananda madhavam. Maulana Rumi tells a story of a child that climbs on the roof and ends up on jutting water drain pipe as the mother was chasing after him and asking him to come back. Boy, dangerous situation. Thinking it was simply a game and unaware of the serious risk involved, that child who was in a playful mood was laughing uncontrollably and hilariously. A wise man on the street observes the situation and requests the mother to get back into the house and hand over a fun toy to play with to a child about the same child's age, and suggests that when this other child sees how much the other child is having fun with that toy, the child will come back. Surely as soon as her child saw the fun the other child was having, it crawled right back into the house from the roof and joined the other child. Like that wise man, ostensibly ordinary human beings have come as Sadgurus in our lives. They look ordinary, but their state of consciousness is beyond the worldly level, as they are capable of communicating with us the greatest truths and methods to attain the highest levels of consciousness. The enlightened teachers are alert and are able to assess the things as they are and act effectively. Calling the callers line of scrimmage, guys. Chatur and Daksha. Gurus exhibit smarts about everything and act objectively and decisively. In reality, each one of us is a guru and a disciple. Teacher learns from the disciple just as he teaches them. So is true for me and my wife Kumud with our own children and grandchildren, and all the youngsters we have had the privilege to teach and learn from at the temple and in our annual youth camps over the past 38 years. We have learned from each one of them as they were being taught. Anything that we have mastery over in our daily lives was always taught to us at some level by some teacher or other, starting with our very first guru for each one of us, or mother from the very moment of conception. For spiritual enlightenment, as individuals, we need gurus or teachers that were properly trained by a guru in the same tradition. Relationship between the spiritual teacher and the eager disciple is like a relationship of a gardener and the flowers in the bush. The gardener can plant the seeds, water it, protect it, make certain that there is adequate amount of sunlight, even in the winter time. But the gardener cannot guarantee blossoms. It can only come from the bush. Eye surgeon can do a perfect cataract surgery. I had 2 of them last year. But it is the patient who must open his eyes in order to see. Swami Shivananda says that a guru is absolutely necessary for every aspirant on the spiritual path. It's only a guru who can discover the disciple's defects and faults and help one overcome one's ego. All saints and sages, prophets, incarnations have had their gurus, however great they might have been in their lives in later years. And many times, a guru might find disciple not ready for him. Shivananda asked some of the people I know very well, move on to somebody else. Some other time I'll tell you. Shweta Guru learned from Buddhalaka. Maitreyi learned from Yajnavalkya. Bhrigu learned from sage Varuna. Narada from Sanat Kumar. Nachiketa from Yama. Indra from Prajapati. Krishna from Sandipani. Rama from Vasishtha. And Devas learned from Brihaspati. If you find peace in the presence of a great soul, if you're inspired by his speeches and presentation, if he's able to clear your doubts, if he is free from greed, anger, and lust, if he is selfless, loving, and I-less, that is egoless, you can take him as your guru, says late Swami Shivananda from Rishikesh. He also stated that one should stick to one guru. Digging multiple shallow pits would not lead you to the fresh spring of water. By digging a deep pit at one place, that took a very long time, over the years of your lifetime, will spring forth the foundation of enlightenment. Listen to all holy men who come in your life, but adopt the teaching of only one master. Finally, let me share with you our own personal story. My wife's and mine, which we have shared only 2 times in the past. I grew up in a village called Chiploon, where there were many Sanskrit scholars. It was a chosen place by Lord Parshuram, the 6th reincarnation of Vishnu. The temple dedicated to him is on the sacred hill, barely 3 miles away from Chiploon. It is one of the few but spiritually vibrant temples dedicated to Lord Parshurama in India. This sacred place was established by him as his Yajnashala. He had brought along with him several well-trained priests for that very purpose from the river Saraswati. Several areas in Chiploon, the place of Chitpan Brahmins, were named after all the needed entities and materials for such yajnas. Park was the place where they kept the horses. Mirzoli was the place where they held the goats. Map was the place where they cooked the food for some special occasions. And Markandeya was the place where sage Markandeya had his own yajnas. I was lucky enough to recite Gita as a youngster and recited competitively for several years since the age of 8. And prizes awarded for those winners were nothing but the books on Gita, written by several different authors, which I read very eagerly. My wife was lucky enough to be influenced by her grandmothers who were deeply interested in studies of Vedanta. We 2 met in the medical school and learned from one another over the entire time. I, Modi, learned more than she did from me. We met Swami Bhashyananda, the founder of Vedanta Society of Chicago, Ramakrishna Mission, in 1969, while he was visiting Pittsburgh that year. We were working at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. He inspired us both to continue our spiritual journey by studying Gita and Upanishads. Learning from him and spending time with him, we learned a great deal. He lent us books from his huge collection at the Vedanta Society. He guided us most lovingly till his death in 1996 and happened to be in Chicago at that time. He visited our home every year after we moved to Minnesota in 1972, and even was kind enough to perform Gruha Shanti for a new home in 1979. We had the privilege to welcome Swami Chinmayananda, who came in the early 80s. He spent at our home 1 week at a time in succession for 3 years. He gave public discourse in the evening, but we learned much more from him on one-on-one basis during the daytime. However, we learned the most from Swami Dayananda, the principal teacher in the first modern-day Vedanta school in the world, known as Sandipani School, Powai, Bombay, now known as Mumbai. The school was inspired by the vision of Swami Chinmayananda, who were privileged. We were privileged to learn from Swami Dayananda for 29 years, till his death in September 23rd, 2015, at Rishikesh. We were also blessed individuals to be with him at his Arshavidya Gurukulam till his very last day here on the American soil, on August 25, 2015, when we saw him off for Rishikesh in an air ambulance. The ultimate divine grace from God Almighty is passed on by one's Guru, who passes it through his living self as an enlightened individual. The process of handing the divine grace may appear to be a simple penetrating grace from the Guru for the people who are not deep in the studies under him. But it may be a simple pat on the back, it may be simply loving the uninformed observer, but for that graced disciple, that experience is something much more profound. When we received our divine grace, both Kumud and I, through Swami Dayananda, his blessings were for our continuation of spiritual growth potential. Pujya Swamiji had observed us as the regular visitors to his ashram in Pocono Mountains since 1986. He had noted that we had been reading his books and commentaries and were always asking questions, perhaps bugging him. He had visited Twin Cities 2 times. First time when our temple was on Polk Street. Remember that, Prasanna? He had known that we had been discussing Gita in the temple and following Swami Chinmayananda and his teachings in 1979. He has written several letters to us over the years. On his second visit to Twin Cities, he was truly thrilled and excited when he visited our beautifully and spiritually vibrant temple in August of 2009. While standing in front of our Ram temple, he turned towards me and said, "Dr. Sane, his temple is something special place with unique spiritual vibrations. I visit many temples, but this is totally different. I shall come here anytime whenever you need me. Please continue to nurture the community through teachings. It's a beautiful temple, but do stay grounded." He always kept on calling me Dr. Sane till his last day. During that visit, he recorded a message as he wrote on one of the books. I brought it here. "My best wishes for your completing the life journey without any hitch. Om Dayananda, 10th August 2009. In the fall of 2012, we had spent a great deal of time with him in Arshavidya Gurukulam in Pocono Mountains and asked him so many questions of clarification, which he answered with great happiness. On our final day of our stay, we shared with him 2 of our teaching materials that we use at Hindu temple, school. We indicated these 2 books we had brought especially for him. He browsed through them, through quite a few pages, and seemed very pleased. And finally, as we bowed down at his feet in reverence to seek his blessings, as we had always done on our visits, Swami Dayananda smiled at both of us, and with his eyes filled with an indescribable love, asked me to pass on the book that we happened to be carrying on that day to him. He wrote in a very loving and touching note on that book, Dr. Sane, Om. You are a proud Hindu, knowing the soul of Hindu Dharma. I'm proud of you and Kumud. Love, Om Dayananda. September 12, 12. We knew and felt at that very instant that we had indeed been graced by our Guru. Ever since that time, when we received the divine grace to Swami Dayananda, just like Arjuna saying, Nashto moha smritir labdha, we both have experienced a great deal of clarity about our true identity. Questions and conflicts that had existed in our minds in the past have gradually dissipated. Confusing statements from the speeches and writings from spiritual thinkers and scholars, including Swami Dayananda, are no more that confusing. We can now reach deep states of meditation on a consistent basis. We continue our studies by reading articles by other enlightened individuals and reflecting on them, CSE. Most importantly, we presently feel very happy, content, and absolutely peace, just as Sri Krishna said, Atmanye Vatna Tishta. We remain satisfied in the self alone, by the self, while pursuing our daily activities. Let me conclude today with the words that we started this morning. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Eva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave.
You explained very well what a guru does. Ajnanatimmirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Just as an ophthalmologist removes the cataract so you can see better, the guru removes the ignorance so that you gain the knowledge. To that guru, I bow down. In my experience, there are two types of gurus. One is called Shiksha Guru, physics guru, chemistry guru, biology guru, anatomy guru. They are all Shiksha Gurus. There are as many Shiksha Gurus as there are topics to be discussed. Then there is Diksha Guru. The only topic for a Diksha Guru is to take you to Moksha Dwara so that you can see for yourself the truth of Tattvamasi. That is his only goal. Only one topic. There is only one Shiksha Guru, many Diksha Gurus. In this day and age, when we are struggling to put food on the table and maintain our health and all the other things, where do you find a guru? Sometimes we can't find a Diksha Guru or a Shiksha Guru. Don't worry, in the modern day and age, there's another guru. I call it Google Guru. You can always find something useful by looking into Google Guru. Now, why do you need a guru? Dr. Sane explained. Because a lot of doubts come in. When you read the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Atman doesn't move. Atman doesn't die. Atman is not born. You go to chapter 8, it says, the soul goes to the southern route, the northern route. Wait a minute. One point you say it doesn't move, another point say it goes. So what does it mean? You need a guru to explain that. Then there are other things. For example, Krishna says, a true devotee sees me in everything and everything in me. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvancha mayi pashyati. What does seeing mean? When I see you, do I see you or do I see Krishna? Or when you see me, what do you see? So what does the word see means? So you need a guru to explain that. Then later on in another verse he says, no Arjuna, you are not in me, I am in you. Oh, wait a minute. I am not in you, you are in me. Contradictory statements. So what do I make of it? You need somebody to explain that. That's the reason why you need a guru. And yes, sometimes you go and say, what is dharma? A guru says dharma is sadachara. Sadachara is dharma. Proper conduct is dharma. Achara prabhavo dharma, dharmasya prabhurachyutaha. Vishnu Sahasranama says. So then, what is proper conduct? I don't know. Well, he explains to you. Whether you are in a brahmacharya ashrama, grihastha ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama or sannyasa ashrama, there are certain contexts, there are certain dharmas. Bhagavad Gita starts with dharma, ends with mama, mama dharma. Bhagavad Gita is dharma of Krishna. It is called Jivana Dharma Shastra. So you can find all the codes of conduct in the Bhagavad Gita. Do you find a guru or does the guru find you? Very interesting question. Mm-hmm. If you want to find a guru, how do you go about doing it? You can't see the yellow pages, you can't Google it. So where do you do? People say, I traveled from this ashram to that ashram to that ashram. Finally, I found one. And in many cases, if you are very fortunate or blessed, as I was, the guru finds you. When you are right, when you are proper and ready to learn, there's always a guru that finds you. I used to listen to Dr. Sane's lectures on Bhagavad Gita in the old temple for many months. At the end of each talk, I would go to him and ask him questions. What I thought was silly questions, but he always respected the questions as genuine questions. With patience, he would explain to me. I must have worn out his patience because about 3 or 4 months later, one day he said, you know what, you should really study Bhagavad Gita from beginning to end. But I'll give you 2 important things. One of them, you must have faith. If you don't have faith, don't bother studying it. Secondly, when you study it, always look at the context in which the question was asked and Krishna's reply was given. And understand Arjuna's question very well. Because if you don't understand the question very well, you cannot understand the answer. Accept the answer, even if it goes against your grain. Over a period of time, you will see the wisdom of Lord Krishna. So that's how I got into Bhagavad Gita, starting with his encouragement, his mentorship, his counsel, his patience, and everything that goes on. Until that time, I had never studied any Indian scripture. Zero. I got a book for Swami Chinmayananda's book, commentary, started studying, and over a period of time, many of the questions that I had have been resolved. That doesn't mean all the questions have been resolved as a new arise, but what is important is it has given me, with the help of a guru, the mental strength to handle situations so that you don't fall apart. So it gives you a steady mind. That's the sort of thing that guru does. So sometimes you find a guru, if you're very lucky. Otherwise, when you're good and ready, if you're eager to learn what Dr. Sane calls as burning desire for liberation, then guru will find you. So that's my message for this thing. So thank you.
As a matter of fact, to conclude your comments, Durlabham Trayamevedat. The 3 things which are difficult to achieve. Deva Anugraha, Deva Hetukam, only comes by divine grace. And those 3 things are Manushyatvam, Mumukshvatvam, Mahapurusha Samshraya. So being born as human beings, God has given the faculty to make choices, to do or not to do. Only very few people, as Shri Krishna laments in the 6th chapter, try and strive to reach that stage of liberation by getting the understanding for true identity. But the 3rd thing is, once you develop that and you got foundational knowledge, then again to get a Mahapurusha Samshraya is also a divine grace. So it is not that you find the guru, but when you are ready, the God blesses you with the Guru. So, Durlabham Trayamevada. There's a Vivek Chudamani, second verse, with the Shankaracharya.
Durlabham Trayam Etat Daivanugraha Hetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurushatvam. Vivek Chudamani, verse number 3. So, there are a number of things that one can learn. And if you don't have a Guru, don't despair. Because when the time is ready, Guru will find you. No doubt about that. No samshayaha.
Exactly. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Prasanna. The thing is, you come in everybody's life. But again, to catch up is that person's credit too. So the things, as I mentioned in the very opening comments, there are many available. But to grab onto them is individuals try. You get washed away in the floods of life. Samsara, bhava samsara. So many different logs are floating around for you to go from one end to another. But for you to hold on to somebody that you think is going to help you and latch onto that and go to the other side, it's your credit too. But again, it is also a divine grace that the lock comes your way. So, am I right?
Yeah.